What's up, y'all? It's your girl Candy, and there were a few things that were running around on the internet about the situation with Boyz II Men and I.
It looks like Boyz II Men star singer Wanya Morris won't be getting on bended knee.
I didn't deal with it because, you know, I was getting ready for verses. And then when we finally finished the autograph signing, people had followed us to the van and was shaking the van.
Excuse me, it was a limo. It was a limo.
Oh, okay. It was a limo.
The van, baby. They didn't dress the van to the second album.
Thanks for all who watched it, tuned in, and showed us some love, you know what I mean?
Thanks for bringing everybody safe over from LA, all over the world. Lord. We just want to say thank you for this moment. We give all praise to you, and we just ask that you would just bless this performance. Allow us to have a good time. This is a celebration, and because of you, we're able to do this. I'm so grateful, and I just thank you in Jesus' name.
But I did want to address this.
Candy said it all stemmed from a bad studio session.
So, on that note, I feel like I need to tell y'all what really happened because I've had so many people come up to me and ask me about the whole situation with Wanya since Wanya responded or whatever. Okay, I want to make it clear because I did so happen to see just a little clip of what Wanya said on I guess his interview that he was doing, and clearly he did not understand why I was offended because the way he told the story is not how I felt. Okay, and then I noticed he tried to throw a little shade at the end. You need to be a housewife, honey. But it's all good. Anyway, no shade here. I love the group Boyz II Men as far as them being artists. I think they're amazing and I have no shade about them, their career, or anything like that. But what I will say is I did have a bad experience and how this whole situation came about. Much love to Eddie Levert. I did this interview with Eddie Levert, one of the legendary OJs. He does a live interview segment weekly on his Instagram page, so you guys should check that out. But anyway, he was asking me questions and he asked me what was one of my hardest artists to work with as far as experiences in the studio. I didn't really want to answer the question, but I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go and tell you. It was Boyz II Men, and that's the truth. And so he, I didn't realize that this interview was just gonna catch fire and everybody was gonna be talking about it, but apparently, Wanya had his opinion and he spoke on it. So I feel like it's very important I tell you guys from my side of the story because from what I gathered from the small clip that I saw, he made it seem like I just had an issue with the splits.
Split sheets are used to determine how much each person involved with a song contributed.
And that is definitely not why I said that they were my worst experience working with an artist. So just to give you a clear picture of how it went down, I thought that I had been cool with Wanya and Sean prior to working with them. We had hung out before and I thought they was, real cool people or whatever. So I was really looking forward to working with them in the studio. This was years ago, mind you. This was like in 2000 or something like that. I was super excited about working with Boyz II Men. At the time, they had set it up for Shakespeare and I to do 2 songs with Boyz II Men. So the particular day they were coming in, I had already started working on the song, which is called Good Guy. As a matter of fact, he sung a little clip of that in his interview, okay? So the song he was singing in his interview was the one that I was already working on before they even got to the studio. So I was pretty much done. I think I had wrote like the verse, the B section, and the hook was already done before they even got there. That's the majority of the song for people who don't really know. It's like once you get to the second verse, all you're doing is changing lyrics. The melody is already there. So him, Wanya, Sean, and Mike, who's very nice by the way, they came to the studio that day. Nate did not make it to the studio. So when they first got there, everything was all good. I believe Wanya was like, hey, you want us to help you finish the song. Typically, if I'm working with a group or an artist and they want to collaborate or whatever, I'm more than open because it's they're the artist. So I was like, yeah, you know, if you want to help, I mean, I'm almost done, but you know, that's cool or whatever. So they did help finish with the lyrics on the second verse, and I guess that was about it. So then we wrapped that song up, and then we started working on the second song, and the second song is called Beautiful Women. That particular song we started from scratch, and I felt like realistically Wanya gave more input, and Sean or whatever. I feel like they gave probably more input than I did as far as like the melody was concerned and the concept of the record. I think one of them came up with or whatever. So I would say they had more input in that particular song, even though we started from scratch or whatever. Mike, he was there, but he wasn't really giving input as far as like the lyric of melodies, you know, the songwriting part. He was there though. We finished the second song as far as writing is concerned. Didn't record anything, just writing or whatever. We was talking, laughing and joking until about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. It was late. So at that point, they were like, okay, we're gonna go. You know, they was going back to their hotel or whatever, because the next day they were supposed to come back to the studio and hopefully start recording the songs that had been written that day. It was my experience at that time that if you do collaborate with anybody, you should, you know, try to go ahead and figure out what the splits are as soon as possible while it's fresh on your brain, because if you don't, you know, people get amnesia about who did what and how the split should go. So I said, hey guys, you know, how do you normally do your splits?
There is no standard in how to decide what percentage of a song someone gets.
And so instantly, attitude shifted. And so they was like,
splits? What you mean? How we do our splits?
And I was like, well, you know, I was just wondering, you know, how you do, you know, your splits, like, cause you know, everybody kind of like have a different way of doing it or whatever.
This is just a business decision that must be made amongst yourselves as business people.
They was like,
oh, you want to talk about splits?
and I was like, well, if it's too late, you know, if y'all tired, it's cool, I understand, you know, we can talk about it tomorrow. Cause I was like, maybe I'm bringing it up and they tired and they think, why am I bringing it up? Cause it's late at night. So they was like,
Nah. If you want to talk about the splits, we can talk about the splits.
I was like, okay. So they was like,
So, man, I guess you probably, like Shakespeare probably, because he did the music, you probably give him, you know, he'll get 50%.
Some people decide to split their royalties equally amongst each other.
and I'm like, yeah. And they was like,
But we normally split the rest equally or whatever.
so I was like, oh, okay, well, what do you mean equally? So they was like, you know, it's 4 of us, so they wanted to do 10, 10, 10, and then give me 10. So I was like, well, that might work on that second song, but the first song, I was pretty much, you know, done with it when y'all got there. So I was like, that ain't gonna really work on that song for me to just only take 10%. Like, that don't make sense. So then they were like, well, you know, we always do split. And then mind you, on top of that, Nate wasn't even there. So I'm like, why are we splitting? And he getting his share and I'm gonna get the same thing as him and he ain't even here. That didn't make sense to me. So, you know, they was like, well, anyway, they ended up saying, okay, well, you know, we did more on this song, you did more on that song. So let's just say we'll take 25% on your song. You get 25, we'll split 25 amongst ourselves, I guess amongst themselves, and then give me 25 on the other song. And so I was like, okay, well, you know, they'll be taking 25 on the song that I did more of, but they were gonna give me 25 on the song they did more of. So it sounded fair to me. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine. That'll work. Cool. So they leave out the door. As soon as they got in the car, they called back to my manager. It was my manager it's still in the studio, in the room with me. He used to work with them on the road, like he had been worked with them before or whatever, so they was cool with him. But he was sitting still in the room with me, and so they called him back on the phone. They were like,
yeah, man, you know, we just thought about it and
they said, we just thought about it and
we decided we ain't giving her the 25% on the other song. She can only get 10 on that, but we still gonna keep the 25% on Good Guy.
And now, mind you, my manager's standing right in front of me, so I can hear their voices and hear what they saying and how they saying it. So I was like, no, that's not gonna work. They not just gonna chump me off like that. Like, no. And so he's like, you know, he was talking to them, and so they was like,
and I can't believe she even fixed her mouth to even ask us about some splits.
what? How I fix my mouth to ask them about some split? I was like, what the fuck you mean? I'm gonna fix my mouth? And they was like,
I should be happy that I'm even working on their album.
this is what they're saying to him on the phone. But he's standing right next to me and they're talking loud enough for me to hear them. Of course, I'm pissed because I'm like, who are you? You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't personal for me. I wasn't making it personal. I was just trying to do business, you know, and handle my business. But they were getting like, trying to act like, you know, they were so important that I should have just been so glad to work with them that I should not have even asked them about the splits. At that point, my manager was just trying to be like, oh, okay, well, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Because he knew that I'm getting mad and he's seeing my face, so he's trying to get off the phone, right? So I don't hear anymore. So the next day, you know, so at that point, you know, I'm pissed. I was venting to Shakespeare, who was still in the studio with me or whatever. And I was venting to my manager, obviously, that I was upset or whatever. Because not like about the splits, but about how they were handling me, okay? The next day, come to the studio, I'm thinking, okay, well, it's cool, you know, next day we refreshed, whatever. So I'm at the front of the studio, I'm on the phone, they buzz the door and they're coming in. So I'm right at the door. I go to open the door for them because I'm right at the door. At this point, the next day, Mike didn't come. It was just Nate, Sean, and Wanya. They walked right by me, like, one of them even like slightly brushed past me because it wasn't that big of a door. It wasn't that big of a space. Right by me. It didn't even speak. And I opened the door for them, okay? They walked right by me and went on to the back like I wasn't even there. Then they told my manager that they didn't even want me in the room to have the discussion about the song and whatever. They only wanted to talk to Shakespeare and my manager. They refused to speak to me and talk to me about the business of the song. So for me, I was pissed, of course, because to me, I'm like, you would have never done another man like that. If I was a guy, that wouldn't have happened. They would have never in a million years handled a dude like that.
So you do think that it's a man thing, or do you think that they just like the Bogart situations?
Listen, I felt like it was multiple things. I felt like it was a lot of ego, that they feel that somebody who's writing with them, for them, or whatever, shouldn't even be able to ask them about splits. That's for one. And for two, I definitely felt it was a thing of, you know, me being a woman, they felt like they didn't have to do business with me. Like they didn't have to talk to me or deal with me like I'm only gonna talk to them. It's like, I did not raise my voice at them. I did not curse them. I didn't do anything. And mind you, a matter of fact, at the time, was it the night before or the next day or whatever, Mike did speak back with my manager, the nice one, Mike. And he apologized to him and said, please tell Candy I'm sorry for how, you know, everybody handled her or whatever. That wasn't cool, whatever. I'm sure he didn't tell them that he apologized, but he did apologize and was just saying like he recognized that it wasn't cool. So I was just like, it wasn't just me. I know I ain't crazy. And for me, it's like it already wasn't that many women song. It's not that many women in the business, period, as far as behind the scenes as songwriters, producers. That's a fact. To me, it just was not cool that when it comes to handling business, that this is how it goes down. It should have never went down that way. Like I said, prior to even working with them, I had hung out with them before, well, two of them anyway, and we had definitely was cool prior to this session. So for me, it should have never went down like that. I'm not holding grudges about it. Since then, you know, I mean, I definitely have seen them, you know, we definitely have spoke. So it's not like a thing of me holding grudges. But if someone asked me what was my worst experience, I'm sorry. That is the truth. And you can feel how you want to feel, but maybe you don't realize, or maybe you don't even remember, Wanya, how you came off at that time, but you did. And those things were said, and I did take it that way. You know, I didn't imagine it, okay? I did not imagine it. It definitely happened. It was disrespectful as fuck, okay? I don't care how you put it. You do not tell somebody how do they fix their mouth to ask you about splits when you actually wrote a song with them. I don't care if you felt like I should have got 5% or 2%. It's still a discussion to be had if we're doing business together. Simple. It does not cause for us to be mad at each other. It does not cause for us to walk past each other and not speak the next day. None of that should have happened. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. On that note, I do not change what I said. My feelings are the same. That was one of the worst experiences that I've ever had writing with an artist. I do not care that you shaded me. I really don't. I mean, I can see you tomorrow and I'll still speak to you, say hello, what's up, and it does not matter to me that you shaded me, because no shade that you have on my career means nothing to me. There's no way you can shade my career. I've done enough in my life that I know that I'm well enough accomplished of my own that your shade means nothing. So anyway, people, songwriters out there, make sure you get your splits, because when you wait and later, people will not give you what you deserve. Know that. Mind you, I got my percentages, and both of those songs ended up on their album. No, they did not want me in the studio when they recorded it. They ended up recording it later, but it did not change for me. The song still ended up there. I was still happy and proud that it worked out, and yeah. On that note, see you guys next time.